Hello everyone, welcome to biology class. So we are discussing about the chapter reproduction in plants. So we completed what are the parts of a plant, what are the reproductive parts of a plant, and what is pollination. So just after pollination we have to study the process of fertilization. Just recall what is fertilization. Fertilization is the process of fusion of male and female gametes resulting in the formation of zygote. After pollination, the pollen grains shed on the stigma, start absorbing water from there, and they swells up and germinate to produce a long tube called pollen tube. The pollen tube start to grow towards the ovary. So the nucleus inside in the pollen tube. So what is the nucleus inside in the pollen tube? That is a male gamete nucleus. So this nucleus inside in the pollen tube divides and forming two male gametes. This pollen tube grows towards the ovary, passing through the style and grows towards the ovary. It penetrates into the embryo sac. So inside in the ovary, who is present? Ovule is there. Ovule is there inside in the ovary. Inside in the ovule, embryo sac is there. Embryo sac. Do you know what is the condition of this embryo sac? The embryo sac has 8 nuclei. The 2 nuclei in the center are called polar nuclei. 3 nuclei surrounded by the cytoplasm at the top forms the egg apparatus. Egg apparatus means 1 egg plus 2 synergids. So 3 nuclei are there, they occupied in the bottom. The remaining 3 nuclei at the top or on the other pole forms the antipodal cells. So what is the structure of embryo sac? It is 8 nucleated, 2 nuclei at the center called polar nuclei, the 3 nuclei at the bottom called egg apparatus, and the remaining 3 nuclei on the top, that's called antipodal cells. So what is the condition of pollen tube now? It is moving towards the ovule, breaks or penetrates through the wall of ovule and enters inside in the embryo sac. Okay, inside in the embryo sac, the tip of the pollen tube breaks and releases 2 male gametes. One of this male gamete fuses with the egg cell and the other one with the polar nuclei. So 2 male nuclei are there. One of the male nuclei fuses with the egg cell and forms the zygote, and the other male nuclei fuses with the polar bodies. Okay, the male gamete fuses with the egg, forms the zygote, and the other one fuses with the polar nuclei, forms the endosperm. The fusion of male and female gamete to form zygote is called syngamy. It's called syngamy. So here inside in the ovary or inside in the embryo sac, 2-time fertilization is happening. That's why it is known as double fertilization. In most of the angiospermic plants, fertilization is double fertilization. Why it is double? Because 2 male nuclei are forming, one of which is fusing with the egg apparatus to form the zygote, and the other one is fusing with the polar nuclei to form the endosperm. Do you know what is this endosperm? The endosperm which can store the food and which can nourish the growing zygote. So we can see what will happen after fertilization, or what are the post-fertilizational changes. After fertilization, the sepals and petals may dry up and fall off from the flower. Sometimes it may persist till the fruit formation. After the fruit formation, it may fall off. Okay. The zygote divides and forms the embryo and the endosperm, which will becomes the cotyledons. Okay. Then the fertilized egg or zygote, which will becomes the embryo within the ovule, and the ovule develops a thick coat over it. Okay, the wall of the ovule which will becomes a thick coat over it and forms a seed. The ovary ripens to form a fruit. The wall of the ovary which will becomes the fruit wall. Okay, so what are the parts of inside in the ovary? We can see the seed. So if the flowers with a number of ovules, then we can see the fruits with a number of seeds. If the ovary of the flower contains only a single ovule, then we can see the fruit also contains a single ovule, like that of mango and coconut, etc. Then what are the parts of a seed? When we are breaking the seed coat of a seed, we can see inside the seed two main contents are there. One is the cotyledon, that is the fleshy part, cotyledon, white or cream colored part, that is the cotyledon, and the other one is a small white structure called embryo. So embryo we can see the baby plant, and the cotyledon we can see, or we can say the food for the baby plant. So the embryo, just after germination, we can see the embryo start to grow. Embryo start to grow. That means the one part, the half part of the embryo which will grows to form the root system, and the remaining upper part of the embryo which will becomes the shoot system. So the part of the embryo which will becomes the future root, that is called a radicle, and the part of the embryo which will becomes the future shoot, that's called plumule. During favorable conditions, the seeds germinate and produce a new plant. So that's all about the reproduction in plants. From next class onwards, we will study about the reproduction in animals. Okay, thank you.